Okay, I've got the handrail cut, and the magic of Hollywood made that look really easy. You probably think that I just came in here and measured it and went and cut it one time and that was it. That's not really how it works out. What you have to do is first you have to figure out how high the handrail needs to be. And code for me is it's got to be, I think, between 34 and 38 inches from the leading edge of the tread to the top of the handrail. So came in here, I roughly found where that would be. It turns out I hit it just right and just tacked a couple pieces of scrap on there so that I could kind of lay my handrail in here and, you know, size it up and measure and make sure I'm, you know, where I need to be. You have to find the angle that that's traveling. And there's a couple ways you can do that. There's some calculators out there that it somehow takes the rise and run of your stairs and can tell you the angle that that's following, but I don't really trust that. It kind of gets you in the ballpark, but just never seems to work out perfectly for me. Best way to do is just take a piece of scrap and lay it on there and mark your angle, and then take your little angle gauge, come in here and find what it is, and that'll get you really close when you go to cutting on your miter saw. Cutting it, you know, you've heard the adage of measure twice and cut once. Well, when you're dealing with an angle, I think the adage is measure twice and cut about 60 times, because I don't know what it is, but when you're dealing with an angle, I mean, you can just take off a smidge of material and it greatly affects the distance of what you're cutting. So I bet I cut this thing 15 times, just taking a smidge, just shaving it until finally it just came out perfect. So, you know, the lesson is just when you're cutting an angle, I don't know, it's heavy duty Pythagorean theorem or something, but geometry, whatever. You just take off a little bit, and it don't take much to take off a little too much, and then you're starting all over, and this stuff's pretty expensive. So I guess oh, you may have noticed I have a little bit of a hiccup. My newel post here needs to be raised up, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. If you remember, this is just going down into a sleeve. So what I'll do is I'll block that sleeve up, I don't know, about 3 inches, and then it'll be fine. So what I need to do now is I'll go ahead and get this newel post raised up, and then we can go ahead and start cutting out the slot for the track that will go into the end of this handrail that will slide over the lag bolt. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's talk about this handrail assembly and how that's going to work. What I have here is a piece of miter slot track, and this is made by Craig. I picked it up at Woodcraft. I think a 24-inch piece was, I don't know, $12 or $15. It wasn't very much. It's 3/4 inch wide, and the slot in it is 1/2 inch. What we're going to do is take the handrail and we're going to route a pocket so that this slot can be secured inside that pocket so that it's flush against the handrail. And what happens then is on the newel post there'll be a lag bolt. So when you go to, you know, set the handrail assembly in, it'll just slide over that. That'll secure it. It won't let it, you know, move left or right. The weight of the assembly will keep it from, you know, coming out. So that, you know, this track along with the cleat on the bottom of the knee wall is kind of the philosophy behind this removable handrail assembly. So what we need to do now is go ahead and route this pocket. I have a jig that I made up, and I'll show you kind of how that works, and we'll route out that pocket, put that piece of track in, we'll be good to go. Okay, I've marked our end of the handrail, and here is my very unscientific, poor man's jig. And what's going to happen, this will just serve as a guide stop for my little trim router. I'll show you how that works in just a minute. And I'm just not really concerned about being super accurate with it. I just want to make sure that I'm straight, you know, straight up and down, you know, kind of accurate that way. Get it set in place. I'm just going to tack it with a couple of pin nails. Okay, that'll just hold it in place so I can take the trim router to it, and I'll show you how that works. So now we'll just take our trim router, hog out all that material, we'll be good to go. And our slot fits perfect. Okay, here's how our rail goes in. I had to drill a couple of holes, and I used a countersink bit. That's actually for wood, but it worked fine in that soft aluminum. But you know, you want to be able to countersink these screws so that your bolt, your lag bolt, don't get snagged on it. And went ahead and, you know, drilled some pilot holes into the top rail. And I'm going to just hand tighten these in because I don't want to blow the holes out by using a drill. Okay, these screws didn't countersink quite as neatly as I wanted them to, so I took a Dremel and just ground them down. But this is how this is going to work. This is the lag bolt that will be in the newel post, and it's just going to sit on there just like this. And of course that's going to hold it in place. So let's go ahead and take it in there and keep going. Okay, I went ahead, I laid my handrail up in place. I found the center of each post, marked the center. I went ahead and centered up the handrail, traced around it just to kind of give me a reference point. Then I found where I'm going to stick the lag bolt, drilled a pilot hole, ran the bolt in, and now what happens is stood right into place perfect. So I need to do this side, and this part of the project will be done. Okay, now for this bottom side, I laid the handrail in place. I found the center of the post, found the center of the handrail, lined it up, then I traced out the handrail just so I could have something to refer to. I found where I wanted the bolt to go. It's not as important up and down where you place that bolt as it is left to right, because it's going to ride in that channel anyway. So I'm going to drill a pilot hole. Now I'll run the lag bolt in. You have to run it up pretty close. You have to have that bolt oriented just right, or it won't slide in the track properly. Okay, let's see what happens. And there it is. Slid right into place. Got a little bit of a wiggle up top. I'll just need to work with it and adjust it a little bit. It'll eventually adjust exactly where I want it. It's going to fit perfect. There it went. That did it that time. Okay. That's it. So I'm going to get stop in place for tonight, and tomorrow I'll start putting the balusters in place.